Hey, and good morning, everybody. We're in Market Common, and everybody's smiling and drinking coffee and eating biscuits, so we're good and ready to go. We're going to continue our series on developing influence through people skills. And of course, people skills are kind of those soft skills. A lot of times in banking, we focus on those hard skills, and so now we want to talk about something that's a little softer. And so, faith in people is one of those things we want to talk about today. So, a person of influence. Hopefully, that's you and I. A person of influence has faith in people. And here's what I always tell people. After 35 years in banking, I figured out that I was very cynical. I was very suspect of people's motives. And if somebody said, yeah, I make 150 a year, I was like, okay, show me, right? Show me the tax return. And then I'll believe you. Or if they said, I'll get that payment into you tomorrow. Okay, well, I'll just come get it, right? You just kind of get cynical, people. And I always laugh and joke and say the only industry that's more cynical than bankers are policemen. They get lied to maybe a little bit more than we do. But I just needed to share that with you to kind of lay the groundwork and say to you and I that we have to fight that because cynicism's not a good thing. We have to have faith in each other. We have to have faith in our customers. We have to have faith in our family. And if we're really going to influence people, we've got to have that faith in them. Because listen, if somebody doesn't believe in you, you kind of figure that out, don't you? If they don't have any confidence in you, if they don't have any trust in you, if they don't have any faith in you, you kind of figure that out through things they say or things they don't say or things they do or don't do. So we have to make sure that we are focusing on placing faith in people. Here's what Steve Jobs said. He said, it's not a faith in technology, it's faith in people. And of course, this is a guy who built Apple twice and took it to the top of the business world. So he's saying it's faith in people, not the technology, even though his company was a technology company. So here's a fact I want to share with you, and it is this. Faith in people is an essential quality of an influencer when you work with other people. It's just that important. Listen, your team's never going to rise to a high level if you don't have faith in each other. It's just that simple. If you don't think you can do it, you're not going to do it. That's just the way it is. And so we've got to have that faith if we're going to influence. Here's 4 facts I want to share with you. And here's the reality. Most people don't have faith in themselves. Most people don't. Here's what most people say. I don't think I can do that. I'm not sure I can do that. I don't believe that'll happen for me. That'll happen for other people, but not for me. And guess what? If you have that mentality, what just happened? You set the bar, you set the bar down here, don't you? And so what happens? You never push beyond that. You kind of accept it. I always use this little story about the circus. How many of you been to the circus before? Yeah. You got this great big elephant. You ever seen an elephant in a circus? Yeah. Well, what's the elephant? What's the elephant held with? What? Has he got a big giant cage he's in? No. They usually got a little rope going to a little stake in the ground, and this giant elephant is walking around, and you can get on him. When I was little, I'd get on one, and you could ride around. And I always wondered, that elephant could pull that stake up if he wanted to, right? I mean, that wouldn't be hard to do. Why doesn't he do that? Why doesn't he just say, you know what, I'm tired of this. I'm going to do something else. And just walk off. The stake would come up, and nobody could stop him. He could do what he wanted to, but he doesn't. He just keeps going around in the circle. Why? Well, what happened when he was little, he had a limiting belief stuck in his brain. And that was, he got tied to the stake when he was little, and he couldn't pull the stake up. And so what happens is he grows up his entire life tied to the stake that when he was little, he figured out he couldn't move. So even when he's big, he never thinks, so he just assumes he can't move it. So that's the limiting belief that we place in people if we're not careful. If we don't have faith in them, then they think that they can't do it, and so they just don't do it. That's just the way it is. So that's the reality. Here's what Muhammad Ali said. He said, it's a lack of faith that makes people afraid of meeting challenges. Of course, he said, I believed in myself. Of course, his little thing that he said was, I'm what?
Greatest.
I'm the greatest, right? I'm the greatest. And so, but I want to focus on this first part. So how is it that we face challenges? If we're not careful, that lack of faith in ourselves and that lack of faith in the outcome that we're going to achieve will keep us from meeting the challenge. It's just like here. Let's just assume that you got something placed on you. You got to improve your net profit next year by 1%. Some of you are going to say, man, all right, we can do that. And some of you are going to say, what? How are we going to do that? We're doing the best we can. There's no way we can do 1% more next year in net profit, right? You see the difference? It's just a mentality difference. So if you start looking for ways to increase it, you'll find ways. But if you assume that there's no way we can do it, then you look for nothing, right? You fold your arms and say, there's no way we can do that. So it makes a big difference. Here's what, down at the next one, most people don't have someone who has faith in them. Jim Valvano said this, my father gave me the greatest gift anyone could ever give another person. He believed in me. And of course, Jim Valvano led the NC State to national championship basketball. Here's the next one. Most people can tell when someone has faith in them. They will attempt the impossible if you demonstrate faith in them. Think about that. That's huge, isn't it? The goal is always to get them to think more highly of themselves and not you, right? More highly of themselves. Just think about that. Think about that. How is it that we get people to think more highly of themselves? If our customers believe that they can accomplish some amazing things, guess what happens? Yeah, I had customers that at one point in my career, they were building 50 houses. If you would have told them 30 years ago you're going to build 500 houses a year, would they have ever dreamed it? No. Guess what they're doing today? Way more than 500 a year. Yeah, I mean, they're blowing 500 away. So the point is that, you know what? If we believe we can do something, we can do it. All right? We can do it. Here it goes. Most people will do anything to live up to your faith in them. Think about that. If you really believe and get people to understand that they can operate at this level, where are they going to operate to? They're going to operate to that point that we put the lid on them. Your marriage is going to be that way, right? If you only think your marriage can be this good, then where does your marriage end up at? Right here, right? But if you think your marriage can be here, where does it start going? It starts going there, right? Think about that. All right, so people rise or fall to meet your level of expectations for them. Your kids are going to do it, your customers are going to do it, your coworkers are going to do it, community is going to do it, your reputation in the community is going to ride on that. How about this one? When you have faith in others, you give them an incredible gift. An incredible gift. You give them hope, right? That's big. All right, think about this. Faith is belief in action. Faith is more than thinking something is true. Faith is thinking something is true to the extent that we act on it. Right? So you and I need to make sure that we act on it. So what do I mean by that? What do I mean by we have to act on that faith? If I have faith in you, what do I need to do? Is it okay for me just to keep it? Yeah, I've got to act on that, and I've got to instill it into you. So the point is that if I want to instill that faith in you and help you to believe in yourself, then I've got to do something, right? I've got to speak, or I've got to do something, or I've got to share something. I've got to do something in order to help you do that. So don't just think it's, well, sure, I've got faith in you. You've got to initiate. You've got to step out and move forward. A lot of times what happens, we don't admit to people that we have faith in them until they failed, right? And then when they cry on our shoulder or sit down and go, I thought I could do this, but I couldn't. And then we say, well, we know you can do it. We encourage them after the fact, but not before. So make sure that you're acting and take initiative. Let's go to the next one. How to become a believer in people. Here's a big one. Believe in them before they succeed. It's easy for them to have a success and then say, I knew you could do it, right? What's really tough is before they have that success to say, you can do it. All right? You got this. That's the challenge for us. Here's what, let me share this quote with you. There are no hopeless situations. There are only men and women who have grown hopeless about them. So there's always an option. But what happens is a lot of times if people don't have faith in themselves, what do? They close their eyes to the option. And when they close their eyes to the option, then the hope goes away. And then the performance goes away. Does that make sense? Okay. Here's another one that we can share with people to help them be stronger. And that is this: emphasize their strength. Praise them for what they do privately and publicly. So in private, give them that pat on the back, but publicly, give them a pat on the back. Think about it. Have any of you ever had your parents brag on you a little bit? Did you try a little harder when they bragged on you a little bit? Yeah, absolutely. How about this? How about if your direct report brags on you a little bit in public? Think about that. Right? What do? Fold your arms and say, man, I've arrived? Or what, you try a little harder or not? Oh, absolutely, yes. Yeah, we do. All right, here's another one. List their past successes, because everybody wants to feel important. Talk about what they've accomplished. Man, they've done this, 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 and this. And it means a lot, right? You building that resume for them. Just say, hey, you've done these things, you can do something else. Here's another one. Show them that success is a journey, it's a process, it's not a destination. So in other words, we're going to have failures. That's just we're going to make mistakes. But that's a part of it. A lot of people make a mistake and think it's the end. I can't do anymore. Oh, I failed. I can't get out of this. And they stop. But the idea is that's just a part of it. It's a journey. To get where you want to go, you're going to have to make mistakes and make wrong turns. You've heard me mention it before, but how many times if a plane's flying from here to Europe, how many course corrections do they make? The answer's hundreds, because guess what? The wind's constantly changing, temperatures, lots of things are changing, right? And so it's constantly making course corrections. Just like this, plug in your GPS and go from here to California. How many course corrections you going to make? A bunch, right? Yeah, you're going to figure out the GPS doesn't know where it's going, so you're going to make some corrections. Yeah, so that's the way it is with us. We got to do the same thing. How many of you saw the Cinderella story? Yeah, it's kind of a girly movie. I had a teenager, or she was probably 10 when it came out. I'm not sure. But here's a quote that was in that movie. Never let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. Okay, that was a quote in the movie. But think about that. How often do we not take a chance on doing something really significant because we've got a fear? Think about this. Do you realize what a batting average is in professional baseball? That means that Hall of Fame batting average is going to be about 35% in our numbers. It's a Hall of Fame batting average. So how many times do they strike out in order to get that 35%? So in other words, they don't get on base most of the time, right? And a lot of times strikeouts are more than hits. So point is that you got to keep playing the game, knowing that there's going to be failures, but it's just a part of the game, right? Okay, so here we go. Experience some wins together. Whoever it is you're trying to inspire, whoever it is you're trying to place some faith in, share some wins together. Do some things together that are going to get you over the top. Share some experiences together that's going to push them. A couple of things I want to share with you here. When people sense victory, I'm just going to go down these in a list here. When people sense victory, they sacrifice to succeed. Think about that. They sacrifice to succeed. They look for ways to win. They become energized. They follow the game plan. And they help other team members. But when people sense defeat, they give as little as possible. Doesn't that sound familiar? They look for excuses. They become tired. They forsake the game plan, start doing it their own way, and then they typically hurt other people. All right, when people are defeated. So our job as influencers is to do what? Give people that sense of victory. Hey, it's coming, right? Good things are coming. We need to, it sounds kind of silly, but we really do need to be cheerleaders. We need to be helping people see the very best of what can be. But here's the thing. Can you do that and not feel that way about yourself? Yeah, you can't. You heard me say it before. You can't give away what you don't have. So if you're trying to influence people and instill faith in them, you got to have faith in yourself. You got to believe that you can do it before you can help them believe they can do it. Because guess what? The authenticity is not there if you don't believe that you can do it. So if you're trying to say, hey, you got this, but in your heart you really don't believe it, it's not going to come across as the real thing, right? And what kind of influence are you going to have with them? Very little or negative, right? Okay, so keep that in mind. So visualize their future success. It's been said that a person can live 40 days without food, 4 days without water, 4 minutes without air, but only 4 seconds without hope. So the thing is, we need to breathe hope into people, in our coworkers, in our other employees, in our community, with our customers, our families. We got to breathe hope. We got to be hope ambassadors. Does that make sense? Because here's the thing: you got to influence people. You're a leader. You're influencing people. And so our thing is, we always have to be conscious of the fact that we are having an impact on people. We're making a difference. And if that's the case, it can be a negative influence. So we got to watch our words. I'll share this with you. This is a little transparent, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. My son, years ago, he's 32 now, and he tried out in 9th grade for basketball at the high school. And I told him when he tried out, you'd have to kind of be at the tryouts, but the game was a little faster than he was. And so he got left behind. And so I just said, hey, Hoss, you're a little slow. You may need to pick a different sport. And I thought I was being helpful, just so he wouldn't get his feelings hurt and that kind of thing. But guess what? At 32, he tells me, this was just a couple weeks ago. Guess what he told me? Well, it hurt, but it also put a lid on him, because he applied that to a lot of things. He applied that to most of life. And I was just talking about a basketball game, So you got to be careful what you say, because people take it in their own perspective, and it can be serious. So think about that. All right, here's the thing. Expect a new level of living. Putting your faith in others involves taking a chance. The quote that I've got there says, belief in limits creates limited people. Belief in limits creates limited people. So here's what I want to share with you. If you want your life to go to the next level, who would like that? Anybody would like to go to the next level? Yeah, mine's up. I want to go to the next level. But here's the thing. If you don't believe you can get there, you won't. But there's a big pool of average out there. You hear me talk about that all the time. There's a big pool of average. How do people end up in the big pool of average? Because they want things they don't believe they can ever get. I want this life. I want a great marriage, but they don't believe they can get it. I want great kids, but they... So, see, the thing is that we've got to act on those things that we want. And if we don't believe we can get them, then we're not going to get them. It's just that simple. You may say, well, I can never be a $75 million lender. Well, you won't ever be if you don't think you can be, right? Well, we can't grow by 3% next year. That's insane. We can't do that. Or we can't grow by 13% next year. Whatever your number is. But guess what? If you don't think you can, you probably are not going to achieve it. So you really got to believe it. And to influence people, you got to believe in yourself. So make sure you don't put a cap on people, but make sure you don't put a cap on yourself as well. Right? Because here's the thing. If you're going to be a high-level person and you want to attract high-level people, then you got to believe you're a high-level person. Right? Because you're going to get exactly what you believe you can get. All right. Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Jim Belvano.
Had to dig